Alright, let's have a look at the plumbing tool. So before we get into it, you probably want to know what is the plumbing tool good for, and it really has three major use cases. The first one is that, well, you can quickly put together a plumbing diagram and understand how your plumbing layout works. So rather than taking a lot of time using a difficult program to put together a plumbing layout, the plumbing tool is an easy to use drag and drop system, so you can put together your plumbing layout with just a few clicks. The next use case, of course, is being able to export plumbing plans. Once you have put together your plumbing layout, you will also want to be able to show how that layout looks like. And the Generate Plans tool actually puts together your plumbing layout that you've done in 3D and then puts it onto a nice plumbing plan that you can then show to someone. And that is the third use case, is what do you use those plumbing plans for? Well, that's actually communicating with your builder or with your plumber. So that way you can reduce the time it takes to communicate with your plumber and your builder, and it reduces the miscommunications that you have, because you can clearly communicate, hey, this is where the plumbing goes, and you need to think about all of those bends here in the pipes, so you can actually install everything properly. So that's the three major use cases of the plumbing tool. And let's just get into designing your plumbing. And to do that, you will go down all the way on the left here into the technical section of the library bar, and we will grab a plumbing connection. But before we do that, we will do one thing first, which is go into my layers here and disable everything. So that allows me to freely move around without selecting anything, except the electrical tools are still active at the moment, but that's okay. And what I will do then is I will disable my walls. And the first thing that I will do is I'll place my plumbing connection on the first point, and I might as well just get started with the shower here. So I'll just place it somewhere around here. And now this will allow me to start drawing my plumbing. So there's two ways that you can design your plumbing layout. You can do it super accurately, that you just draw your plumbing into the walls, so you would draw your pipes right exactly where they will go, or you can draw more of a plumbing schematic where you're just roughly showing where the plumbing lines will go. I prefer going more down the plumbing schematic road, which just speeds up my workflow a little bit, but in the end you still understand where everything goes, and I'll show you how to do that. So to actually drag a pipe, you will click this green arrow here, which starts drawing your pipe. So you left click once and you let go, and then a new pipe will follow your mouse cursor. And I will just drag it out until roughly here, which will just bring this out a little bit. And now you can see we can create a bend in this pipe. So we can go either up, down, right, or left, or we can actually change the length of the pipe by left click and dragging this orange arrow here. And this is if you've placed your pipe and it's not quite the right length yet, this is how you can change that. All right, so I'll just put it back to where it was right now. And then I will make my way over to this vanity over here, and I'll left click once like that. And then I will just move my mouse cursor until it's roughly over here. Great. And now what we'll see is that we need to go slightly up to be able to go to this spout here. So I'll just left click once again, and I will go and draw a little bend here until it reaches my spout. Great. And now we will go in and create a new plumbing connection, and I will just click on this button here for creating a plumbing connection. Fantastic. And now we have my very first basic plumbing layout. Of course, there's a little bit more to a plumbing layout, and I'll show you how to keep drawing from just a little starting point like what you've got here. So what you can do, you can actually extend your plumbing layout by just clicking on those pipes here. And what you will see are these arrows popping up here. So all of your other possible directions of where you can put your pipes are still highlighted. So let's say I want to go in and draw a pipe this way. I'll just left click once, let go of my mouse, and then it just follows my mouse here, and I'll just drag it out a little bit until it goes past my wall. So if you quickly enable your wall here, you'll see that the pipes are outside. Of course, you would be building the pipes inside of the walls, but it just makes it a little bit easier to communicate where everything goes. And then I'll left click here, and then we'll see, oops, we've got a window. What should we do about that? We'll just click the arrow up, and we'll just draw the pipes so it goes around this window. And then I'll just go down again until we are roughly on the same height again. There we go. And now I'll just quickly disable my walls again, and we'll just keep drawing until we reach the sink over here. We might need to adjust it a little bit so it's just lining up here, and then we'll make a corner bend that goes around like that. Perfect. And now we'll create a new plumbing connection. And now we'll also want to connect my gas stovetop here, because you can actually also draw your gas lines with a plumbing tool. And if you have drawn a full pipe and you want to split it in half, you can actually do that. All you have to do is click on this create split button. And what you'll see here is this purple box come up that shows you where you will split the pipe. But before you split the pipe, you can actually move where the split goes by moving it along the pipe. And I'll just make it line up with this gas top right here, and then once I've placed my split connection, I can then start drawing, and now you'll see this new connection pop up here, and then I'll add a plumbing connection, and there we go. So now we have a basic plumbing layout, and we can actually get started by selecting the outputs of the plumbing connections. So let's say this plumbing connection here will have a hot and cold connection. This one here will have a gas connection. And this one will be a hot and cold as well, because it's a shower. And this will also be hot and cold. And one other thing that I want to do is I actually want to be able to connect a gas bottle to this system. And to do that, to just create a connection that's coming in, you can just take one of your pipes like that, create a split. And then what I'll do is I'll just draw a pipe going down like that, and I'll just create another plumbing connection that leads into nothing. And essentially that is now my gas in, so that's where you can connect your gas bottle. And the same thing goes with cold water in, so let's say where you would connect a water hose to connect your tiny house to the plumbing. All I'm going to do here is create a split and then draw it down again, and I'll just try to line it up roughly like that, and we'll just create another plumbing connection, and we'll make this cold. So now we've got a gas in and a cold water in as well. All right, and now what we'll do, we'll update our connection settings, and now what it does is it actually draws a full plumbing layout based on the connections that you've placed, and it automatically places the paths of the different, colors to the required connections. So this one here only has hot and cold, so it will connect my hot and cold connections, and all the gas connections are together as well. So yeah, that way it just uses the pipes that you've drawn kind of as a conduit to create the right diagram. So one more thing that we will need in this plumbing layout is something to heat up my water. And what we'll do here is we'll go in and enable my walls one more time, and I'll go into my lighting and electrical, and I will grab a hot water heater. So this is just an instantaneous hot water heater that will sit outside of the tiny house. And I will go in and actually draw another connection that goes over here. So I'll just continue my pipe to go in here, and I'll create a plumbing connection, and this will be gas, cold, and hot. And then I'll update my connection, and now the gas connection goes in here, and the hot and cold connection go out of that hot water heater as well. So there we go. So this is a very basic setup. If you actually want to show, let's say, how the cold water goes into here and how the hot water comes out of it, you can also draw more pipes. But I'm just going to try to keep it simple, because in the end, these are just kind of like the basic connections of where things will go. So there we go. Now we've drawn a very basic layout for my plumbing. And now we, of course, need to go to the next step, which is exporting the plans. And to do that, we'll go into my Generate Plans menu here. Just before I do that, I'll just quickly save the design. There we go. And I'll click on Generate Plans, and I will make sure that I'm only going to export the plumbing plans. Of course, if you're exporting the entire package for your build, you can leave all of these enabled, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'll just disable all of my other plans here. So it quickly exports my plumbing, and then I'll go up here and I'll say Generate Plans, please. And now I've got my plumbing plans. So what it exports for you is a isometric plan with the interior with the walls open, so that way you can actually see where all of the plumbing lines go. So if you'll zoom in here, we can now see all of the plumbing lines that we have drawn. And you can see the gas, you can see the cold, you can see the hot, and it's quite high resolution, so you can actually zoom in quite a bit, so you can exactly see what connections are what. And if you want to see it from other sides, here's another view that has the loft enabled in case you want to show that too. But yeah, so what you'll see here, you can also actually have another view from the other side, so you can see all of those lines there. So in case something is unclear, the other view will usually catch those as well. So yeah, that's the plumbing plans, and usually you would communicate this with your build team or your plumber so they know exactly where to install everything. Otherwise, another really good way to communicate your plumbing is to just show the 3D design. So what you can do here, what you'll see once you have exported your plans, your plumbing objects are actually disabled. You can bring them back here by going into views and enabling your plumbing again. And if they have any questions where things go, you can just quickly show them the design in 3D and go through the plumbing design. So it's super intuitive, and it will be very easy to communicate where everything goes like that. So yeah, that's how you can generate your plans, and also how to create a basic plumbing layout. One more thing that I wanted to talk about, of course, once you've created your hot, cold, and gas connections, you probably want to create your wastewater connections as well. So what I'll do here is I will disable my walls one more time, and I will think about what is my wastewater system and how will it work. So we actually have 3 points that will have wastewater, and that will be my vanity right here, my shower, and my sink. And I mean, if you think about it, where does the wastewater start? Well, usually under the outlet of the object. So I will just go in here and I will create a new system, and I will just look under it like that, and I will just place it somewhere around here. And then I'll take my arrow and I'll just draw it down like that, and I will move it until it somewhat lines up with the shower. Of course, you can be super accurate here and make sure you don't draw it through the trailer and make it go around the axles, or you can just draw it like this. It's really up to you. And then I will move it a little bit over here until it's just under my shower, and then I'll grab the up arrow, or left click and drag it up like that, and I'll place another plumbing connection. While we're down here, I'll just quickly make sure that this is a waste connection as well, so we don't have to go down again and do this one more time. And then I will grab one more connection that goes under my sink, and then we'll press the up arrow one more time, left click, let go, and then left click one more time to confirm, and we'll create another plumbing connection which will be waste. And then we'll update the connections, and you'll see the plumbing lines are now drawn for the waste. Of course, you will also need a water out. I would usually put those under wherever you will want to have those, under where you will have the most connections. So I'll probably put it under here, and I'll just draw another connection that goes down here, and I'll create a plumbing connection which is waste, and I'll update it one more time. So there you go, now you've done your plumbing. For the wastewater, of course, you can also run your vanity and your sink and your shower into a grease trap first that you can have somewhere, but I would just draw it to a place where you would install your grease trap, so it runs through there as well, and take a note somewhere else that is something that you need to install. But yeah, there we go. Of course, you can now re-export the plans with the waste, and it will show up there as well. Let's think about one more thing, which is editing an existing plumbing design. Of course, you might change your tiny house design, and you will want to redraw where some of the pipes go. So the easiest way to do that, I'll just quickly save this before I make any changes. There you go. One quick thing is when you save, it will disable all of your layers, so that way we can just quickly put these on again afterwards. We will want to think about where are we going to edit the plumbing design. So let's say we want to change, let's just change the sink position here, for example. I'll just go into my layers, and I'll turn on my cabinetry. And then I will move my sink, and I will take this cabinet to fill in the space, and I will move my sink in here instead. There we go. So now we have a plumbing connection that goes in here, but it should actually end up here. So we just have to think about what plumbing connection do we need to redraw, and we will just delete whatever objects we need to redraw. So we'll just click on this plumbing connection, we'll just delete this. We'll delete this pipe over here as well, and we will delete this pipe over here as well. And then we can just redraw it. And at the moment it doesn't have any configuration, so it's gray again. And we'll just make it go into the sink here, and we'll create a plumbing connection there. And we'll make sure that this is cold and hot, and we'll update my plumbing connection, and then we've got our connection here. And then we also need to do the same thing down here. So rather than deleting this whole pipe, we can actually create a split as well and move it over here a little bit, and then draw it up like that, and create a plumbing connection and make it a waste connection like that. And then we can actually go in and delete those unneeded pipes, if that makes sense. Yeah, so that's how you would edit a plumbing connection to make it work with your system. So just think about what's the least amount of objects that I will have to delete to make this work, and kind of work your way backwards, delete them, and then redraw the system, and then you've got a working plumbing layout.